It's funny to me when you bring up the conversation of MrBeast and League of Legends, because a lot of North American people come out and say, I'm a little bit burnt out on MrBeast in the mainstream media. Can one man really save an esport? To which I would say, yeah, one man can absolutely take over. So today we need to talk about the rumors around MrBeast buying an LCS team, or even just getting into LCS in any capacity, because they're starting to make the rounds again. But you might want to know the timeline of how we got here in the first place. The timeline starts at Worlds 2022 out in San Francisco. Everybody's excited. The hour-long pregame show is on, and there were rumors, at least locally, of somebody big in North American content showing up for finals. Most of us kind of figured it would be MrBeast. We weren't 100% certain. But then all of a sudden, the man himself goes on the broadcast and not only talks about his love for League, but goes well beyond that.
Azale, you got
So
something?
I've got to put the screws to you. I got a hard-hitting question here.
Here we
So
go.
there's been some rumors. Are you going to buy an LCS team?
Oh gosh. Boom. Well, yeah, 100%.
Let's go!
The question is more when.
Okay.
Because if we do it, I want to have a team that makes it to a stage like this.
Oh, I like that!
Yes.
We gotta get the right pieces in place before we
Okay.
pull the
Great
trigger.
You're giving me all the right answers here. I'm
answer.
signed up.
That was a
So
very
at
good
least
answer.
like it might be another year or two, but yeah, 100%.
Immediately after he said that, the ball got rolling. Everybody was excited. When is MrBeast going to get an LCS team? When's it going to happen? People were laying out timelines and beyond. Okay, well, we're in a franchising model. Are there any open slots for him to buy? As time would go on, yeah, there were obviously a lot open, but would MrBeast even want to pay that price tag? Is it a worthwhile investment for him to get into the LCS? Because while the LCS in 2022 wasn't doing all that bad, there were some looming rumors that were casting a bit of a dark shadow over the league, most notably the swap to weekdays. The LCS would be going from weekends to weekdays, and people were very mixed on it. And there was kind of this underlying feeling of maybe the league's dying. Like, do we need MrBeast to save us, or does he actually want to be here because it's a good product? It felt like two completely separate conversations, and as time would go on, it became very clear that it was more we needed him than he needed us by a wide margin, which, to be fair, was always the case, but like, it became even more so apparent as viewership continued to drop off as the years would go on. In addition to that, multiple teams sold their slots, not even to other buyers, simply back to Riot. Evil Geniuses and Golden Guardians both selling their slots to Riot for, I think it was like $5 to $6 million ish, and nobody else coming to fill it. The LCS down to 8 teams, the smallest of any tier 1 region. Years would continue to go by and no word would come from MrBeast, and it felt like all hope was lost. We pretty much bottomed out at the end of last year. But just when you thought he wouldn't, he made headlines again.
LCS team. This was back in 2022.
Yep.
We have a rich esports history, so we thought, you know what, why not ask a very important question. When are you going to get that LCS team, Jimmy? What's happened?
Yeah, no, bro, I love League of Legends. I don't know if I've ever talked about League of Legends on a podcast, but this will
Let's
be a good
talk
one that
about
makes
it,
sense. Yeah, you're hitting a lot of firsts. I want to own a LCS team. It's just I got a lot going on at the moment. I'm going to buy one. And League, keep the esports team popping. I'm going to get around to it eventually.
So when this clip started circulating, there were many understandably asking the question of, one, when was this filmed? Podcasts can obviously be filmed way in advance. So like, is this recent? Is this an old thing that's coming out? What's the deal on this exactly? And more importantly, what does that timeline look like of him getting into League of Legends? But this time he would address it directly in the video, as well as a follow-up tweet.
What's your timeline, do you think? When's a rough idea when we could see a Beast LCS team?
Probably another 3 years, realistically. Yeah, we just got to keep the esports team popping. I don't want to see a decline in viewership. I want to finally get a team and we win Worlds and everyone's like, no one cares, League's dead. Like, keep this shit going. One day I'll step in.
So here we are again, prepping for the eventual possible entrance of MrBeast into the LCS. And I know the surrounding narrative on MrBeast is different now than it was 4 years ago, with Beast Games and his kind of mega Hollywoodification to a certain extent. People have soured on him. And many of the things that MrBeast was doing were starting to rub people the wrong way. And you still do see that whenever you bring up this conversation on Twitter amongst the older crowds of esports. However, they're not the audience that matters in any way, shape, or form. The only one that matters are the kids, because they are the future of what will keep League of Legends esports alive and well, not only in North America, but also beyond for decades to come. And I don't care what anybody's opinion of him is. He hasn't done anything that's cancelable, period. So you can dislike him all you want. Personally, I've always enjoyed his videos and enjoyed his content. I do think there's that underlying worry that always exists with content creators of like, how far do you push things for views before ideas go a little bit too far, but he hasn't hit that line yet. But to anybody doubting him, I'm sorry. If Kadril can come in and take over LoL Esports, not only can MrBeast do that on his own, even though you might not watch him in particular, all of your kids will, because many of us plan to have kids in the future. Yeah, get ready for your kids to be fans of MrBeast gaming in the same way that all the kids I teach now in golf, big MrBeast fans. If you think that they wouldn't literally cry over getting the chance to meet him, you're crazy. That would bring in fresh talent. That would encourage people to then try and get into the ecosystem whenever currently that's our biggest struggle. So that's a win. And anybody sitting here saying that they don't want that part of the LCS, I'm sorry, you're missing the plot of this whole thing. But I want to focus on one thing in particular that he said in that interview, which is, hey, Riot, keep the LoL esports ecosystem popping. Because there are quite a few things that should and could be done in order to segue into the era of which he would potentially enter. So I want you to take a moment and think about the things that would attract a business owner like MrBeast, or most specifically his content model. Like, what types of things need to exist in LoL esports to maximize and incentivize him to do this in addition to his own wants? The first one is pretty clear, and the LEC is starting to like get the point, which is the return of some sort of team pass, fan page, whatever you want to call it. The LEC just announced this past week, LEC, not Versus, I nearly call it that every single time, but LEC Rivals, which will allow you to log on, select a team, rep them, and play a ton of games in-game to win prizes for your team as you climb up a leaderboard, as well as individual prizes, including a laptop. This is a kind of second generation of the LCS, LEC, LCK fan pass that used to exist in the game back in 2018, 2019. They were these small microtransactions that would allow you to become a bigger fan and advocate for your fandom for a particular team within the game. Okay, that is something that MrBeast is going to be looking at, saying like, hey, if I'm going to funnel all these people into your game and your esport, I need a way to monetize it, not only for myself, but for all of us, to make sure the ecosystem becomes sustainable. So you need some sort of product in game that fans can buy to directly support their team, because people will want to do that the second he gets involved. The same thing obviously applies, well, pretty much all this applies to Los Ratones as well, but Riot obviously didn't do that in time. But MrBeast is dealing with a much bigger pool of non-endemic League fans versus Casual, which basically sucked up all the League fans that were either already in the ecosystem or like kind of lapsed a little bit. So we have the thing that is purchasable in some way, shape, or form. The second thing I would say is that we need content to pop off, at least on a local level, because I think from the international perspective, First Stand has shown that we got at least somewhat of a good tournament format down. Whether the cadence of 3 international events is going to go over well as years go on, only time will tell. But for right now, it looks like a pretty good first step towards that. I know. But teams locally really need to get their content together. And I was thinking about this. Like, obviously, they don't have the budget to do MrBeast style videos, but I could see a world where MrBeast comes in and is like, hey, I'm going to make an LCS team and I'll give every single one of the players that wins it $100,000 in cash, and like put the briefcase in the training room. It's like, you're practicing towards this. Can you do it? Obviously, there's no cop-out mechanic. Like in many of MrBeast videos, what he'll do is he'll have like a 30-day challenge, and halfway through, he'll offer you a prize to quit out. That obviously is not going to be an option for something like this. But the point is, I need teams to think about content from a MrBeast angle because it attracts a younger audience. Not every team obviously has to do this, and there needs to be a blend of all. But if you can show the seeds of this style of content working, even though MrBeast will be able to come in and do it on his own, it might speed up the timeline and process of him wanting to get involved if he sees other people doing it, and then he'll want to step in and do it as well. My third and final thing is just the general sentiment around North America. We need to be okay with making sure that the LCS is this fun and entertaining standalone product, and we are accepting of that. I know the international events can be a little bit downer for us, and that's a separate conversation whenever we kind of deal with it. But even though MrBeast said his goal is to win Worlds, if he joins the LCS, the odds of doing that still have not changed from exactly where they are. We realistically want to make sure we're leveling up our region in the process of that, but making sure that we as a fandom show that we care about the LCS enough domestically that he would want to. Because if he looks at LCS fandom and says, nobody likes this product because they're saying that they're not going to perform well internationally. And I look at this logically and say, even if I form a roster with 3 North American players and 2 imports, the odds of winning Worlds are slim to none. Why would I then do that? That's on us to change the optics, okay, and make winning the LCS as important as it is for CBLOL fans to win the CBLOL or LFL fans to win the LFL. Make every moment matter. That's the important part with storytelling that MrBeast does well that a lot of other people need to comprehend. So I know kind of a shorter video here and obviously a little bit more idealistic and very much like leaning heavily into like a specific thought and idea around MrBeast getting involved here. But despite what the detractors say, it genuinely would be a fantastic thing for League of Legends beyond just the LCS if MrBeast did get involved. We're still a long way out, still a lot of work to do. But look, I develop all my content plans in 4-year cycles. Like I thought about where I would be at today as of the end of Worlds 2022, whenever Worlds would be coming back to North America. And we got confirmation from Riot that the cycle for Worlds is not changing. So if MrBeast is saying that this year, our goal is by the time Worlds is back here in North America in 2030, we have everything prepped and ready to go for this to be the next launch point for whenever he were to hopefully join. I know not everybody's going to agree with this video. Trust me, I get it. But that's just how I think. Let me know your thoughts as well. Thanks for watching. Next week, we kick off everything officially in terms of countdown for the LCS. My Team Liquid series video comes out on Wednesday. The Pit returns on Friday. Should be a fun week ahead. And the co-stream will be back next Saturday. See you all there. Bye-bye.